2021 here with your 7 picks in 5 minutes. Of course, I do 7 picks in 5 minutes every single day. It's a PickDawgz original. And of course, while there are no games today, I decided to use today to do 7 other kind of picks. These are my 7 biggest sports influences in my life. And it spanned the course of my entire life. And you know what? I might even run longer than the 5 minutes today because these are the people that really matter. And I've had, outside of this list, I literally have thousands of people that have influenced me. But these are why I do what I do. So let's go for it. Number 7 on my list is Dan Marino. You know, the thing is, I grew up watching the Dolphins as a kid in the stands of the Orange Bowl. It was, always hot, and it wasn't the nice stadium and any of those things. But, we always had good teams back then. And the thing is, this is why I love football. Growing up watching the Dolphins and the Canes. And the thing is, Dan Marino, when he came in for the Dolphins, he changed the NFL. Okay, every offense that you see today is a byproduct of the 1984 season. Dan Marino broke the passing records that year. Yeah, guys have broken his passing records and his numbers and all of those things, since then. But the thing is that Dan Marino's passing numbers that he broke the records, they weren't even close. I mean, he broke records by 25%. So the previous touchdowns per season was 36. He threw 48 that year. The previous passing yards in the season was 4,000. He threw for over 5,000. It was, just smashed the record books. Dan Marino, one of the biggest sports influences. We got him number 7 on my list. Number 6 is Larry Bird. The reason why Larry Bird is number 6 on my list is just the one story that I tell all the time. And that is, here's a guy, he doesn't quite have the talent level. He doesn't have the athletic ability. Certainly, some people say, the best basketball players of all time. He's not. It's Michael Jordan, right? I mean, it is. But the thing is that that Larry Bird did the most that he could do with what he had to work with, and the way that he did it is he worked harder, than he had to. There was a story when I lived in Boston. Casey Jones, who was the head coach of the world champion Celtics back then, said if anyone hits a shot from half court, practice is canceled. Larry Bird picked up a ball, threw it in, hit it, no problem from half court. Everybody else walked off the court. Larry Bird stayed there at Boston Garden shooting free throws for 2 hours. And that, to me, says if a guy that good works that hard, well, I can work a lot harder than myself. Number 5 for me is going to be Keith Jackson. And I tell you, I grew up loving college football and listening to Keith Jackson. This guy could make the West Carolina versus, Florida Atlantic game sound like the national championship. Just unbelievable. The greatest college football announcer of all time. Keith Jackson, not even close. And I just think that this guy, just absolutely influential, made me want to be part of the sports industry ever since I was a little kid. And like I said, I'm going to probably go over my 5 minutes today because these are the people, these are my guys. And they say you should always have pictures of, your heroes and stuff on your set if you're a live streamer like I am. And I have Keith Jackson right over here. So yeah, I have him with one of my other guys who's on my list. Number 4 is a guy who I don't have anything here of, but he is one of my all-time favorite people in sports. Number 4, this guy, if you love college football and you didn't see this because you're too young or because whatever, you have to see it to believe it. Number 4 is Barry Sanders, man. This is the most 1988 was the most unbelievable thing as a college football fan that's ever happened in the history of college football. Barry Sanders in 1988 had a season. You see these guys today, and you see this Alabama teams winning national championships in Georgia and all this other great. There's never been anything like Barry Sanders in 1988, and there never will be again. Barry Sanders took the opening kickoff in 1988 and ran in for a touchdown. He came in, he had never started a game at running back. And in 1988, 5'7", this guy was, okay? 5'7", Barry Sanders. And yeah, he was built, whatever. 5'7". And you guys know how big football players are. 12 games, 2,850 yards rushing, 44 touchdowns, okay, in a 12-game season. These are records that will never be touched. They will never, ever be touched. It happened in 1988. We're in 2021. No one's even close. No one's ever had a season. Not even close. His first touch of the season was a touchdown. His last touch of the season was a touchdown. 44 touchdowns in one season. 12 games. That's a career for people. He averaged 239 yards rushing a game. And you got to remember, he was in some blowouts. They took him out early. 1988, Barry Sanders, the greatest college football season of any player of all time. I'll put it up against anything, anybody, anywhere. And Barry Sanders comes in number 4 on my list. I'm going way over my time today, my 5 minutes. I don't care. We're not doing picks. There are no games. These are my 7 people that have influenced me in sports. Like I said, I've got thousands of them. Of course, at PickDawgz Sports Chat Place, we always have, tons of free picks, premium picks. We got, our massive YouTube channel. We have, just a huge group of talent here on YouTube that's, just growing, and, a great slate of stuff coming up. But, of course, we have our show at 11 o'clock with Joe Madden later on today, and Brian and Rod. But let's continue down the list to number 3. Number 3 was the 1984 Miami Hurricanes. I was at the national championship game in 1984, and, I'm from Miami, guys, bleed this stuff, and been terrible forever, forever, just terrible. It's like those of you that are sports fans, right, that are real fans, not bandwagon fans, not like jumping from team to team, the guys who sit in the stands, and it's like what makes that winning so awesome is those years of suffering. And we suffered, us Canes fans. 1970s, I think they won 3 games, was the most they ever won in a season. And then here we are, 1984, the national championship game. We have a coach that comes in from, he coached under Don Shula. He coached under Bear Bryant, right? We got this guy, Howard Schnellenberger. He's like, 5 years, we're going to win the national championship. We're like, yeah, right. Here we are. It's 5 years later. Exactly what this guy said. We're playing Nebraska. Their average margin of victory is 64 points this season. Arguably the greatest college football team of all time. We're 19-point dogs. We beat them outright. And I remember rushing onto the field, and the song that they were playing over the loudspeaker was "It's a Miracle." Barry Manilow. It's a miracle. And it was a miracle, and it was an amazing day. And that 1984 Hurricanes, man, it's always right here with me. Number 3 on my list. Number 2 on my list is Howard Cosell. Okay, so here's the issue with Cosell. I don't like the way he went out. I think you take out the last couple of years of Cosell's career, and personally, you just purge it. And you say, this guy lost his freaking mind. But you take the body of work and everything that he did, and he is why I say what I say. He is why I'm able to do this, why we're all able to do this. Say what we want to say. Say what people are afraid to hear. And that's what he wasn't afraid to do. It's like when other people were condemning Muhammad Ali, he was making him a star. He was his guy. He was Muhammad Ali's, punchline guy. He was like the guy, like the other guy. He was his, sidekick. And I just think that Cosell had the guts to say things that people didn't want to hear. And while I criticized the end part of his career for some of the things that he said, I think the one thing that he did say about boxing, and when he did finally stopped covering boxing, the Randall Tex Cobb Larry Holmes fight, I did believe what he said in that fight, where he just said, this referee, it's like he's basically the cause of the stopping of the sport that he's a part of. And I think, he was critical of the officials. He called people out. I think he crossed lines in a lot of those areas. And I think, it's a tough call there. But I think as far as influencing me, I think the thing about Howard Cosell also is that what a lot of people don't realize is that they love when Keith Berman does he could go all the way. But they don't realize that all that's Keith Berman doing like a sarcastic imitation of Howard Cosell, who that was his thing. He could go all the way, right? So it's like Keith Berman's just imitating Howard Cosell. It's like his imitation of him, because I'm sure if you ask Chris Berman, who his people are, I'm sure Howard Cosell's on his list too, right? Because he does that, and that is a tribute to Howard Cosell, that he could go all the way. Anyways, number one on my list, Muhammad Ali, the greatest. You guys know I've got my Ali signed book here, man. I met him twice. Just gracious person. Treated, there could be throngs of people. There could be one person there. There could be whatever. This guy always treated you like you were the only one in the room. I met him the first time when I was probably 5 or 6 years old. He was training at the 5th Street Gym in Miami, and I saw him outside. He was on a median, getting into a car with a bunch of people. And I saw him, and I made my parents stop the car. And I got out of the car, and he stopped everything that he was doing. This is just an unbelievable thing. And that's just the way that he was. And the thing is that I met him much later in life again when he signed my book for me. And, he was at that point just not the same, obviously not the same person or anything like that. And I asked him, I said, when he signed the book, I wrote, can you write to Mitch? And he just wrote Muhammad Ali. And that was it. And it was like, the thing is that the thing I like about Ali, he was on the top of his game, but like Barry Sanders, it was like, I'm not putting up with this. And I think I forgot to mention that in the Barry Sanders segment, is that when it got to the end of Barry Sanders' career, and it was just like, he's playing for the Detroit Lions, and he's playing for a coach, and he doesn't believe in the system. He doesn't believe in what they're doing there. And, he's willing to say, screw you, I'm not putting up with your crap for nothing. And I did the same thing in my life. You guys know that. I did that a couple of years ago. So it's like, I don't care what it costs me. I don't care what it costs me. I'm not letting anybody else represent who I am like that. And Muhammad Ali is the same way, man. This guy, as gracious as he was, all of those things, it was like, it's like, I'm not going to let you tell me how it's going to be done. It's like, I'm a person. I'm a real person with my own ideas of how I want to live my life. And I think that, Ali, very, very misunderstood by a lot of people because of, the I am the greatest. No one else ever called him the greatest. He called himself the greatest. I'm the greatest of all time. And it's like, if you grew up in that era, you know exactly what I meant. And he might not be the greatest fighter of all time, but he certainly, in the heavyweight division, he certainly is one of the best. And I think, certainly in my life, a guy who fought for what he believed in. He's willing to take it. He's the world champion. And back then, boxers were the highest paid athletes. And even now they are too. I mean, Floyd Mayweather, I think, made more than just about anybody else when he was fighting. But and Ali was willing to take a stand for what he believes in and walk away from that, and say, you know what? You want to throw me in jail because of my beliefs? Go ahead, do what you got to do. It's like, because I'm not doing it. Just like the same thing, like I said a couple of years ago, people tried to do the same thing to me, with this stuff and with my business. It's like, yeah, right. I might lose, but I'll never lose to people like you. And Ali, the same way. But anyways, I'm way over my 5 minutes today. But these are my 7 people and why they're on my list. We got Dan Marino, number 7. Number 6, Larry frickin' Bird. Number 5, Keith Jackson. Number 4, Barry Sanders, 239 yards a game in 1988, 44 touchdowns. The greatest season of any college football player of all time. And then at the end of his NFL career said, screw you, I'm not playing for this jerk. I'm not going to put myself and let you represent who I am with your crap. I respect the hell out of that. The 1984 Miami Hurricanes, oh man, a magical night I will never forget. It was a miracle. Howard Cosell, he could go all the way. And, of course, the greatest of all time. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Muhammad Ali. Thanks, everyone. Have an awesome day. I'll see you guys. I'm going to be on the show with Joe and Brian and Rod in just a little bit, but still wanted to do my 7 and 7. And of course, our 7 and 5. There's no games today, of course. So we'll talk to you a little bit. Hope you guys are having a great day.